Hello, Marcelo Buril from Greater Athens Properties here with you again. Thanks for joining. And today my guest is Anthony Pierce, life insurance consultant. Anthony, thank you so much for taking the time. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Hello, everyone. Good to see you.
Awesome. So Anthony, let's jump right in it. Start by telling us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm originally from New Jersey. I've been living in Georgia for over 20 years now. I did what everyone else thought we should do. I went to college, played football, got a degree, went on to get my master's degree, and started working, making other people rich.
Great. That's fantastic. So describe a little bit your business.
Well, I stumbled onto this business. A friend of mine was in the Air Force Parents Club. My second son is in the Air Force. And she asked me if I was interested in doing it. At the time, I was a longtime teacher and coach. I was getting tired of that, being in the classroom, even though I love the kids. And I was looking for something different, and I didn't really understand life insurance. The reason why I have a passion about this is because my father passed away years ago, and I had talked to him about getting a cheap policy. I didn't know much about it. He'd gotten one, but then the policy lapsed when he passed away. So luckily, between my brother and I, we were able to write a check, thank God. But it was no fun when you're grieving and you have to write a check, and it's definitely not fun trying to get a GoFundMe page up and things like that.
Right, yeah.
So it's sort of become my passion. I didn't understand it, but I ended up taking the course, getting my license, and realizing that there are a lot of people like I was who needed help.
Right when you need the most.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, like you said, it's such a difficult situation. Personally, grieving, the loss, and then to have to deal with the financials of it.
Right.
Most people are usually caught by surprise, right?
Well, the sad thing about it is that 100% of us have to die. And you either take money out of your community if you don't have a life insurance policy, or you put money back into your family's pocket if you do have a policy. And that's the most important thing that we just share. Just get a small policy, whatever is affordable.
Right.
It's important. There's so many things that you can learn from it. We have different type of policies. There's term, there's whole life, there's IULs. And I've also learned that, let's just say a mom has a daughter in college, and her daughter needs to get out a loan, and the mom need to co-sign for the loan. Well, now, if the daughter happens to pass away while she's in college, the mother's name is still on that loan. She's still liable for it.
She's on the hook.
But if that daughter gets coverage, if she's 20 years old and she gets $100,000 of coverage, it's $12, $13 a month. And now if that happens, now the mom has that policy to pay off that loan. Things like that you learn.
Little things that you don't really think about until they happen. What would you say is your biggest challenge?
Naturally, the biggest challenge is just people who say they don't need it. When people fill out a form, we have leads that we go, and whether a person gets married, has a baby, gets a divorce, it all goes into our Open Records Act. And we send out filings, and they get them in the mail, and they fill them out, and they say, hey, have someone call me because I need this coverage.
Right.
So then when we call people up to cover them, there are people who say, no.
I don't need
I don't need it. Well, why did you go through the process of opening this envelope up, filling it out, mailing it back in, and hoping that someone was going to respond to this lead?
Right.
So just the rejections, dealing with the rejections of helping them to understand, well, you do need it, and there are different types of life insurance out there that you can get. So it's just not a one-stop shop. So we're just trying to educate people about the life insurance policies and carriers that are out there.
Right, trying to get the actual message through, right?
Yeah.
What has surprised you the most once you got into this line of business?
What has surprised me the most is just how positive you have to be when you're dealing with people, because life is tough. There are a lot of negative circumstances out there, a lot of negative mindsets out there, and you have to understand that you have an opportunity to either go into someone's home or influence someone for the better, to make their day shine a little bit, to help their family out. As I mentioned, there are different type of policies, not just term or whole life. I happen to get a policy on myself. I have life insurance, but there's a critical care policy that I covered on myself,
Wow.
in case I ever had cancer, a heart attack, or a stroke. And you say, well, you're healthy, you don't need that. Well, you have to get it when you're healthy. If you have one of those instances, then you don't qualify
disqualify,
for it.
yeah.
Now, why
Right.
did I get it? Because of some of the people that I know who come down with cancer.
Right.
Not only cancer, the people that I know who've had strokes, and several close friends of mine who had heart attacks.
Yeah.
And it makes you think that, hey, I'm healthy, but I can still go tomorrow. Like we
Yeah,
never know when
it's
we're going
really
to go.
you never know.
You
You
never
know, one day you're here, next day you're not. Things happen, happen for a reason. And I believe all of us have that story about this guy that you won't believe. He had a heart attack. I mean, we were
Right.
just
Yeah,
there
we were
yesterday. We were just
Yeah,
talking last
yeah,
week.
I just sent them a text.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
how quickly
Yeah.
death occurs. So that's why we cover people with accidental death policies.
Right.
Again, whole life. We have what we call graded policies for people who've been declined by other carriers.
Right.
People with cancer, people who are on oxygen, people who are on dialysis. If they're in between the age of 40 and 80, I can get them coverage. It's called a graded product. There's a 2-year wait because the carrier is taking on your health risk.
Right.
But I've met people. One day I went to a woman because she wasn't answering her phone. And I went up to her door, and when she mentioned, well, I have cancer, you can't help me. I stopped her from
Wait a
closing the
minute,
door,
yeah.
and I said, hey, let me explain to you what I can do.
Right.
And I explained to her about that 2-year wait, graded, guaranteed issue policy, and she got it. Her 2 years went by like that, and now
Right.
she has full coverage for accident or health death.
That's awesome. Yeah, when you're able to help somebody. My next question here was gonna be, what sets you apart from the competition? So that's probably one thing that sets you apart. Is there anything else that makes your product?
Well, not only that, but
services.
what sets me apart from the competition is that I'm not a guy sitting in the cornfield in Nebraska. You talk to a guy who lives in Athens, who's in the Athens area, who's going to be able to come to your house, or you come and we talk,
Right.
and also just to help you out. I've had people that have called me up. I've been able to help their parents out, themselves out, their grandchildren out. We have grandchildren policies for children and grandchildren, that grandparents are covering their grandchildren, and they don't even have to ask the parent.
Right.
And they get out the policies, and so that's what makes us a little different, is that I'm right here in the community, and I'm going to be here and help and excel.
Yeah,
right
it's
here in the
priceless.
community.
Even in the if you talk, real estate, my field, when you have the loan generators and all that, we always recommend to talk to somebody that's right here, that you can sit at the table and say, okay, what can you offer me? What are my options? Mm-hmm. Somebody that you're going to run across at the grocery store. Like I said, just not a number, somebody in a cubicle all the way, God knows where, where you treat it as a number.
Right,
adds the personal relationship.
Personal touch, and whenever people hear that word life insurance, everyone has a story.
Right.
Usually I'll go somewhere, and I've helped people who were standing in the line at the post office.
Right.
Box drops. Hey, thank you. Hey, that's okay. I'm just a neighborhood life insurance guy. Did you say life insurance? Three people down. Hey, my husband needs a policy.
Right.
Because we all have our stories of losing a family member or a friend who was covered and they still lost. Or, again, the biggest thing is when they're not covered, they experience the craziness of
the surprises.
Of who's going to pay for it? Who's going to pay for it? And the nice thing is that with this, you get coverage. When someone passes away, and we're all guaranteed to pass away at some time, your beneficiary, your child or your grandchild, gets the check to pay for that final expense, burial, or for a young wife to pay off the mortgage of a house if the husband passes away, and not have to worry about it. So many things that we can help them.
Give you peace of mind.
And that's what we're all looking for. We're going through a difficult time. You're just looking for a peace of mind when you're not scrambling during that difficult time.
All right, so you mentioned coming from New Jersey. How long ago was that?
Oh, I left New Jersey years ago, over 20 years ago.
20 years ago.
I hate the cold. I'm sorry, Northerners, but I can't stand the cold.
Yeah.
I don't own a snow shovel anymore.
Right. Oh,
I love
that's
going
great,
over
yeah.
to Tybee. I lived
Yeah.
in Savannah. I love the people down there. I love the Gulf Coast beaches. And, you know, with what I do, I'm able to help families down in St. Mary's, Jekyll Island.
Right.
I have my non-resident license, so family and friends from New Jersey call me, Ohio, Texas, Florida.
You can still
and
service them.
I can still service them right from here, do electronic application,
Fantastic,
email them
yeah.
the application to electronically sign it, and I send it in,
Right.
and then they get qualified and get covered.
Fantastic. Now, let's talk about Athens, Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
What do you love most about Athens?
Well, naturally, we're surrounded by the University of Georgia,
Yes.
you know, and the dogs.
Yes.
So we love our dogs, two-time national champions.
Yeah, back to
And,
back.
you know, just it's a great community to raise kids in. All three of my kids went to Athens area schools.
Yes.
They're all out of college now, thank goodness.
Good for you.
And
Yeah.
yeah, so it's crazy right now. But, you know, just a great town, great town. I love being outside of Atlanta,
Yes.
you know, where we don't deal with a lot of the
Right.
obstructions from Atlanta. We're out here in our own community. And I think there's a difference because as I ventured into Atlanta, the people over there are a little more untrusting, not going on. And when when you're in Athens and they hear you're from here,
Yeah.
like, okay, great.
Right, right. Yeah, no, it's just, I've had some of these interviews, and the common thread is always how Athens is a small town with the perks of a big city. You know,
Right.
you have everything you need, everything here. 15 minutes gets you across town. The convenience, you know. Do you have, by any chance, a favorite restaurant what's your go-to place when you say I
Well, you
want
know,
to have
sometimes when I'm doing business, I meet people over Panera's.
Panera's?
You know,
Okay.
when I want to
Convenient.
watch a great college game or NFL game, I go to Locos.
Locos, yes.
You know, so there's
all the
something-
TVs around.
All the
good
TVs
food.
around.
I love the wings there. My
Yeah,
favorite
that's
is the
right,
wings.
that's right.
Yeah.
And it's great because as you're there in these different restaurants, you meet people. You
Yes.
get to know what they do in their business.
Right.
They get to know what you do.
Right.
So then when they're looking for help in a certain area, they just have your phone number and just
Yep.
call you up.
Right. Right. Yeah. When I reached out to you to have somebody for an unrelated type of insurance, that's what the community does. You know,
Right.
you connect, you make your connections, and you kind of just your sphere. You know, where you can help somebody by contacting somebody that
Oh,
you
it's
know,
great.
and we just help each other.
Right, right.
So when you're not working, which in our line of business usually all the time, what do you do for fun?
Well, I love the beach. Like I mentioned, Tybee Island, Jekyll Island, the Gulf Coast beaches. I love to take my almost 3-year-old granddaughter down to Destin. We were starting
Yes.
to make that an annual trip. I took her down last year for the first time.
Right.
And just grandpa and her.
Fantastic.
And,
I love the crystal clear water, Destin. Actually, we were in Destin, and a friend of ours who used to live here was living there. She said, "No, meet me in Santa Rosa Beach, which is
Yes,
like a
yes.
short drive."
Mhm.
And I said,
Beautiful.
if I ever can afford to retire, this is where I'm gonna retire.
That's right.
Because it's amazing.
It is amazing.
Amazing.
Yeah. So that's what I like to do. I love the beach. I love to dance. When I was in college, this is how crazy I am about dancing. When I was in college, I danced in 2 48-hour dance marathons.
Wow, 48
So,
hours.
I've taken salsa lessons, bachata lessons,
Nice.
taken tango lessons.
There you go.
One day I wouldn't mind getting into more ballroom dancing and possibly even compete.
Ballroom, competition level, man.
Yeah.
You're serious about it. Not
Mhm.
joke. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would do dance for fun. There are several. I don't know if you're part of any of the swing clubs and salsa team that goes. You know, they have certain venues that they do at least once a month where they
Right,
go for
right.
beginners and for pros.
I sometimes go over to Hendershots.
Hendershots, yeah,
One
yeah.
time a month.
They do at Little Kings, I think. They do
Little
sometimes.
Kings in
Yeah.
downtown. Sometimes I venture closer to Atlanta. They have a swing club.
A more
over there.
serious.
Swing dancing club.
Swing dancing, yeah, swing
club.
dancing club, yes, ballroom. Cool. So, if we want, we covered everything here. What would be, Anthony, the best way to get in touch with you?
Well, I have the code that I have that you're
We're
going
gonna
to
pop
put
it
up.
on. Yeah, we're
Pop
gonna
it
put it.
on, so you can just pop right on that code and get my phone number, my email address, and give me a call, text me so I know it's you, and I can either talk to you on the phone or I can come see you personally and get you covered, take care of your needs, and we make it as affordable as possible. Even if you can't afford to get a $15,000 policy for final expense if you're older, $5,000 is better than nothing. Every pastor that I run into, I say, Pastor, you know what? Every church should have someone in your congregation that has a life insurance license. And they always say, well, why? I said, well, someone passed away in your congregation doesn't have life insurance. Where is it coming from? Everybody's passing the plate. It's coming out of the pockets of your congregation. So they have coverage, so it's bringing wealth in your pockets. And we also can help people become licensed. We just got 2 people who got their license, passed the state exam this past week. They're going to be selling and helping families soon. We have 3 more people. And that's another powerful thing about what I'm doing as a consultant is we can hire people. There are people out there who are out of work, looking for more income.
Yes.
Like I was looking for more freedom to get to the beach, to take some dance lessons.
To do the things you enjoy. Yeah.
There are people who are going to work every day and can't stand it. Yeah. We understand that. So you just put them in an easy online course that they can do from home. They pass that. Then they take the real state of Georgia life insurance exam for those people who say, is this a scam? What's going on? It's a real license from the state of Georgia that we apply to and that we get. We have to have fingerprints taken to do a background check, so that's a real thing.
It's serious, yeah. I mean, because you have access to information that's proprietary, and you have the fiduciary, the confidentiality. You have to be.
That's right.
You have to be vetted to be. It's just not anybody that can be.
Yes. So when they're licensed and they're ready to go and they've been approved, we bring them back to our website. Our national website, and get them contracted with our carriers. We have all top carriers that we work with and deal with. And we get them up and selling. We train them, and our CEO is going to be in Atlanta next week, February 2nd. And,
I saw that you had recently, was at a workshop here in Athens, right?
Yeah, that was when Andy Riddle came through here in Athens, and that was a recruiting type of fair.
Yeah, so that's something, I mean, you out there, you know somebody looking for a job, an opportunity to make money and gain their freedom in a financially sound investment. Stay tuned. You mentioned you're also on Facebook?
Yes, I'm on Facebook, on Instagram now.
Instagram, okay. And, so is that just Anthony Pierce on Facebook?
Facebook, they can look for Anthony Pierce.
Okay, perfect.
A couple other sites in Athens, but I go by Anthony Pierce on that one.
Okay.
So just friend me and or just give me a call.
Right.
And we can talk, and I can go over through several of your options and just teach you about what your needs are. We never really know what the needs are until we get into a home to find out what the person's age is, whether they're a smoker or non-smoker.
There is no one size fits all. No, everybody's going to have different nuances and details that make each case different.
Yeah, and just for you smokers out there to know that when you're a smoker, it blows up your amount 2 times as much when you pay for these a month. But the great news is if you stop smoking for at least 12 months, then we consider you a non-smoker, and we can give you those non-smoking rates. That's
fantastic.
Great. Based on people's age, based on their health issues, things like that. But we most of the time can get anyone qualified.
Fantastic. Well, I think with that, Anthony, we'll wrap up. Again, I'm Marcelo Buril from Greater Athens Properties. Thanks for watching. Thank you, Anthony. And if you are in the lookout or you know somebody who has the need for insurance, life insurance, here's the guy.